Hey everyone, Coral here. Um, like I said yesterday, I'm going to be doing a video today on system mapping. If no one knows what system mapping is, that's a term used between people with DID, and it talks about how you figure out who your alter is, if you're polyfragmented, which I can discuss what that is at a later date. Um, and figuring out more about your alters and their interests and how they formed. And as I've talked about before, my system doesn't have communication. I only hear them, I think two of them I hear. Very rarely. They have to be very stressed in order for me to hear them. So I just want to talk to you about my experiences with system mapping as a system who doesn't have much communication and has amnesia. Well, more amnesia than... My amnesia is pretty severe. Let's just put it that way. So, my notes as usual, because it helps me stay on track when I'm dissociating. So, the first one how I map is my friends. And it'll tie into the next one, which is my family. So, a big way that I have been able to map my system is through stuff my friends and family tell me. For example, I could tell a lot of stuff about my little Abby, because my little Abby growing up used to love to switch out around my older cousin. She felt very comfortable with him. She felt like he was a big brother, and she cares about him. So she would switch out a lot around him. So from him, I was able to tell a lot about Abby because of the stuff he would tell me about her. That she used to like to cartwheel, that she was very energetic and happy. That I would go from feeling very cold, distant, emotionless, which was Lily, to being happy, energetic, off the walls, which was Abby. And he said that when I got diagnosed with DID, he said that was a huge factor of why he wasn't surprised, because he could see and notice that I would go from being either happy, energetic, off the walls, because my little is 5, she's very energetic, to all of a sudden cold, distant, much more mature, very not wanting to be social with anyone. And he could see the drastic changes that I would show, even from a little kid. He'd known me since I was... He's known me since I was 4, and he said he could see all those changes. Also, my partner is a huge help with that, since I live with her. And my alters are comfortable around her. She's been able to tell me a lot about my system, because she's been able to sit down and talk with them, and they're comfortable enough to tell her information. My alters are also comfortable enough to tell some of my friends information, and that's how I find out about that as well. Sticky notes or notes. So with that, sometimes if my alters are feeling up to it, I'll leave a sticky note for them, and if they respond, they respond. If they don't, they don't. They usually don't, but once in a while they do respond to my sticky notes that I'll leave, just asking them questions, and they'll leave one back, responding and answering questions. Another way to communicate, I didn't write this down, is Abby has given me the most information about my system, and she does that through drawings. She loves coloring, and she loves coloring her family, which is what she calls all my alters. Now, I'm polyfragmented, and I have over 100 alters, so they don't all switch out. Some do, some don't. Some just stay in the headspace. But she doesn't know all of them, but she knows the majority of them, and she loves drawing what the inner world looks like, that she has access to, because she doesn't have access to all of it. She loves drawing pictures for my altars, which can tell me a lot about them by her drawings and her drawing what they like. Journaling is another one. I have a journal, and sometimes they know that if they ever want to write notes or anything that they're welcome to. So sometimes I'll look through my journal and they've written something to me or written me a reminder, which is useful. It doesn't happen often. The only way I communicate with them really right now is through my partner. I'm a year into my diagnosis, which I know is not horrendously new, but I'm still at the beginning of trauma therapy, and I've been in trauma therapy for a while before I was diagnosed, because it takes a while to get a DID diagnosis, but they have to evaluate everything first, and everything. I went through so many psychological evaluations before they landed on DID. Sorry, my voice is lower. Usually when one of the male alters is closer, my voice can drop, so I sound very odd, which I recognize. Sorry, I just noticed that my voice was low. I forgot what I was talking about. Journals. I was talking about journals. Okay. Journals. Okay, so yeah, they journal sometimes. Most of my communication is through, right now, friends and family. That's just how it is right now, because my therapist still needs to work with me on a lot of stuff, because not only does she need to work on me with my alters and DID, she also has to work with me about the RA type stuff, so it's a lot of that. Mindly is an awesome app that I use, and with that one, it's not designed for DID, but it works real well for it. And it's an app on your phone, and it'll show like a little green graph with little dots around a big circle, and kind of like a spider web. And what you can do is you can log different stuff. So for example, the middle circle I put headspace, and then you could put different sections for alters, and then you can put the alters names, and then you can click on your alters, and then you can make subsystems, because a couple of my alters also have their own set of alters from trauma. They split off too. And so it makes it a lot easier to map subsystems, categorize alters, and make everything easier and laid out to see. Simply Plural. Simply Plural is a new app that was made by a system for systems. And that one is very good. I'm not good at navigating it, but I like it. And it's also good for, you can upload pictures of your alters and fill out little blurbs about them. So it's nice because with Mindly, I can map it out and have descriptions of them, and can visually see where everyone is at and falls on my headspace. And then I can hop over to Simply Plural, and I can see more in-depth information about my alters, which is very helpful. Discord. I created a private Discord server for my alters so they can talk with each other, which they sometimes use. It helps more of the teens in my system, because they don't like talking, but they like typing. So it's helpful for them to just express themselves. Old diaries and homework is a huge indicator of not only information about my alters, but also I found out a lot. It helped me a lot with the diagnosing process of DID, because old diaries, there would show a lot of inconsistencies in handwriting, information, random alters being mentioned sometimes. A lot of diary entries that I have no memory writing on days that I don't remember. And it showed heavy trauma. Homework, I wrote that because there were many instances of, especially in English class, in our poetry unit, two of my alters love writing poetry, and I do too. And I would get it back from being graded, look at it, and for starters, didn't remember writing it. Second, I could see the name at the top crossed out because some of my alters would accidentally write their name and then cross it out and put the body's name because they realized their mistake. And so I could see that, which I found weird because there were a couple of times I'd look and I'd be like, who the hell is Lily? And it was crossed out and then my name was put. So even alters make mistakes showing sometimes in hiding. Not all my alters are good at hiding as well as the rest of them. And I would just get them back and notice that things were really off about them. I didn't remember writing them, handwriting being different, stories and situations that were much darker or much lighter than things I'm used to, or memories that I didn't even remember, but when I talked to my parents about it, they remembered it happening. Passive influence. Passive influence is a huge help for my communication as well. Passive influence is if an alter is close enough to switching out, they can talk through you, or they can write stuff down. They can do stuff. They can take control of the body even though you're still kind of conscious and aware of what's going on. And that one is, it can look a lot like tics sometimes, because they'll just randomly blurt stuff out. Or I'll be writing something and they'll randomly write something down, but I've been able to use it to my advantage a lot more, and I'll sit down when I feel a lot more dissociated with a pen and I'll just be like, you have free reign, you can write down whatever you want. I won't show this to anyone. And a lot of times they do end up writing stuff down, and that's how we can talk a lot more. We can actually have conversations at that point, which happens kind of rarely, but it still happens kind of often. They've gotten better with using that type of communication with me, especially on our personal Discord server. I can type something and then they'll type something back through passive influence, and we can have kind of a conversation about things that are going on, and if they need help with anything, or if I need help with them and I need them to switch out, they'll be like, okay, I'll switch out, and I'll have memory gap because they switched out to help. And Pick Crew or Google. That one isn't really a communication type. That's more of a help for me to know what the alters look like. They'll go on to Pick Crew and make their own thing, or since a lot of them have appearances that Pick Crew doesn't notice, a lot of them will just Google images and take those images and use them, which we know copyright's a thing, but we don't really show it to anyone. So, and we credit everyone. If, like, our Pick Crew in here, we credit the original artist. We make sure that the name of the artist is still visible in the painting so that they get the credit they deserve. Because we draw, we're not good. So that really is all of our communication types. I know it's not as good as other communication types and other systems, but we work with what we got, and at the moment that's what we got. So, like always, if you guys have any questions, you're free to leave them down in the comments. It was nice talking to you guys. See you later.